Hello, good afternoon. Let's see. Everything. I changed the position of my light today because I noticed that I've had like this eye has been a little bit red, a little bit more red than normal for the last couple nights. I think it might be the studio light. Just had in like a position like more direct access right into that eye. The right one's blocked a little bit by the monitors, so I think it's okay. So I'm trying a different position today. So far, I think it's working a little bit better. But let's see what we can do. Wolfer's dad, hello, good morning. Finally, I get to say good afternoon. Um, then be wrong on that side. So good morning to you. Good afternoon here. I just finished my day job about half an hour ago or so. Okay, good evening. It's yeah, it gets weird now because I do the morning streams and then I do an afternoon stream. Sort of like cut everything in half. But yeah, so it's afternoon here and good evening to you. I'm glad it's not like 3 a.m. for you because there's a few people that I've woken up with alerts at 3 a.m. and that can't be nice. How was your day today? Been better, been worse. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I can understand that. Mental health's kind of dropping lately, so we need to do something about that. I watched a clip from Simon Sinek recently, and he had a really interesting idea on this. Is like we keep on saying like mental health, mental health, mental health, but he's pushing for, well, what if we, instead of talking about mental health, what if we talk about mental fitness? Like, how's our mental fitness? Because it's not really just about, okay, get healthy and then we can like treat ourselves like crap again. It's more of like constant ongoing fitness and practice to keep ourselves mentally healthy, which I kind of like the idea of that. I think that's important. What are your things? Like, what do you do for like mental health? Like your big mental health things. Definitely a good approach, though in my case is a clinical diagnosis for depression. Getting through the day. So I've never been diagnosed with depression, although I'm pretty sure I had it for several years, and I did see therapists for it. So that was back during college, and then for a few years afterwards, I would self-diagnose myself like in the past with depression, and it was rough. It's definitely a lot of good habits are required to help get through that. So um, here's rooting for you. But getting through the day, sometimes that's all we can do. Thanks, you'll live. Awesome. That's that's sometimes all we can do, and that's enough. All right, let's continue on with our article. What is seeding? Um, my day's been pretty good. I um During the morning stream, we actually got a lot done here. During my day job, my entire plan was uprooted when there was I mean, kind of an outage. Not really. Our reporting system wasn't. We didn't see any new data in that, so there was a lot of sort of like, oh no, is like, do we have data in our database? And so like, basically, I spent more of the time like investigating and helping out with that. But in the end, It turns out that the system that we're using for getting data in Wallet reports decided midway through last month to pause and just stop pulling data from the database. And it just was sitting there halted in time. So it didn't look like nobody did anything for the last 15 days or so, which not great for a customer to discover and tell us about. I don't know how we can do automated tests for that because it's not our system. It's a SaaS product. So it's kind of sucks. I wish that they had emailed us and said hey, by the way, we've are that ongoing hourly update of data that we usually do. Yeah, we stopped that. You might want to take a look into that. So that was fun. So I didn't really get much done besides that, but I guess that's important. At least it's cinnamon bun day here, so you go, oh, cinnamon. It's been forever since I've had a good cinnamon bun. I don't know about where you are, but we're in America, so of course the treats are gigantic size. So we Sweden, are they really big where you get them? There's a restaurant, I guess not really restaurant. There's a candy store called Cinnabon, which are in many malls and some airports, where all they do is cinnamon rolls, and it's they're gigantic. They're like the size of your head. And so of course, as kids, we're like, "Well, I want one." And, the parents are like, "Well, you're gonna share it." It's like, no, I don't think any country can compete with U.S. sizes. Yeah, that's probably true. Maybe at the size. See, that's like an appropriate size. But the problem is when you're over here in America with everything else being so big, it doesn't look big anymore because everything is relative to each other. So you're like, well, this is just how it's supposed to be. And then you think, well, why would they give us something that's going to be like too many calories for us? Why would they do that? And so then you just eat the entire thing because you think it's perfectly fine. You still think back to things like the double gulp cup. Some of those are just crimes against humanity. If you want to see like a good streams or videos of like how bad it is, take a look at there's I think like 10 people did this. The fast food challenge that Doug created. I would die if I tried that. It would be absolutely horrible. And they did. They got all sorts of different sizes. Most of them large, and large is like, again, like you could probably use a human's head as the size reference here. Which for some reason just reminded me that I once went to a bar in which the servings were measured in the sizes of boots. Kind of need some more caloric foods because you barely eat anymore. Well, I mean, whatever works for you and gets you through the day, that's the important thing, right? I, on the other hand, have the opposite problem. I need less. So I'm eating a lot more veggies and other stuff because they're lower on calories, but still allow me to feel like I'm eating a lot. All right. What is seeding? So seeding a database is adding sort of like default data. Default data. Default data. Or maybe I shouldn't start with this. Maybe I should start with something else. when we first spin up a database, we often want some data already in it, be it for testing purposes or just having data for production. Oh, I used to be the kid that would just vacuum everything in the fridge on a daily basis. I was too picky of an eater for that. And I've expanded my horizons quite significantly since then. But yeah, I don't think I don't think I really started eating too much until I had my until I had like a lot of stress coming in. So like around college. Then I started eating way too much. Be it for testing purposes or having data for production. It's nice to enshrine to put this data into code so that well, we can that when we add new developers or spin up databases for testing, we have a consistent starting place. Oh yeah, I'm right there with you, Wolfer's dad. Like this mental health, and like I've actually talked about this with my boss, with many things. Um, we don't we as in like the royal we in I suppose more Western society. I don't know about like more Eastern or Asian or anywhere else. Like I don't know how it is there, but I don't feel like we talk about mental health enough and mental fitness and like keeping ourselves going. Like I feel that a lot of times we get into some depressive state and then there's no way to easily talk about it because there's no practice. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to start a conversation because it feels dangerous and it shouldn't be. It's nice to put this data into code so that when we add new developers or spin up databases for testing, we have a consistent starting place. All right. So what do we want it with? So let's say for our scenario that we want to add some games and platforms to the database uh, whenever whenever so that new developers will not have to manually add this data themselves. You're working on a proof of concept right now for some edge detection algorithms. Are you talking about like movement, like pathfinding type edge detection, or something else? I've never implemented a pathfinding algorithm. I've always just used somebody else's, and I feel like that's something that I feel like that's something I should know how to do, or at least should be able to do at least once. Oh, just finding edges on 2D images, outlining stuff. Oh, that sounds even harder than the pathfinding thing. But also sounds probably more important. Chad, how are you doing today? Good afternoon. How's your day been? Okay, so we have so for 5, let's do games. We have games, we have platforms, and then we have game platforms. Platform. It's really just looking at neighboring pixels and seeing if the difference in values is over a certain threshold. Oh, I suppose that when you say it like that, it kind of just I don't know why I didn't like initially think about that. But yeah, that kind of does make sense. You just finished up some authentication stuff, so your mind is exhausted. Is that like for your day job auth stuff? Or is it for the streaming project you've been working on? Day job. Okay, got it. Yeah, auth stuff can be pretty rough. Pretty a lot. It can be a lot. Okay, let's actually just grab all these. And we will rid of you. Okay, so you can be though. Okay, so for games, I don't think I need a primary key type thing, so we can get rid of that. Okay, so we have name. Okay, so for game, let's have the first game be, well, we've just been using Starfield, so we'll just continue with that. Starfield, and for a second one, we'll use Baldur's Gate 3. Let's add a third game. Let's get rid of these though. Okay, so I don't need the type. Actually, I don't think I need any of these. Oh, but I'm gonna want an ID on here. So I'm gonna want something like ID. This would be like 1. This would be like 2. Oh, don't need all of you. You. Okay, so search for space and then replace that with that. Cool. Oh, but you're also finishing up auth on a streaming project too. Auth everywhere. Everything needs auth. Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons why whenever I can, I replace auth with just a third party service. I think that ends up just being so much easier. What am I doing? I want have ID, we'll have name, and then you'll also, okay, then you'll be gone for the rest of these. Okay, so you're good there. So you'll be 1, you'll be 2. Okay, so then you, name. Okay, platform. So we'll have Steam and Epic maybe? Okay, we have that. Okay, then game platforms. So it'd be ID, name. Okay, so 1. Okay, so actually game platform doesn't have that. No, no, no. This one's different. This one's gonna have game ID and platform ID. So we could say that we own Star. Okay, let's imagine that we own Starfield on Steam. So no, game ID is 1, and then platform ID was 1, and then we'll say that 2 and 1. So we'll just say that I own everything on Steam, but we have Epic as an option. Whoa, that did not. Ooh, okay, hold on. I messed up here. You need that. And now I think it'll work. There we go. Okay, so Vivax, hello. How are you doing today? And also, hello, Xanax. How are you doing? How are your days been? All right, so we have games platforms, game platform, and we want. Okay, so I guess we'll jump in and we'll see how to do this. So. This is like the plan. We already have a plan, so like the plan. There we go. We already have a scenario. All right, so then let's create a seed. Now, okay, we have migrations, and then we have. I think it's going to be seeds inside of here. You're doing good. You finally found a solution you like to a problem. You've been trying to come up with a solution for like 2 weeks. Oh, nice. All the ideas you had earlier were either really hacky or had very subtle stuff wrong. Well, I mean, that always feels good to have a solution, especially when it takes multiple weeks to figure out. That's really nice. So congrats on that. Let's see. What do I want to do with this? I want to probably want to take a look at the documentation. Okay, for the CLI, wait, this is SQLx. I want to go to CLI. So running, reverting. I might want to go and do the offline mode thing because that runs pretty cool. Do you have seeds? Ooh, I didn't see seeds in there. Let's take a look at this. Oh, do you not have seeds at all? Group of commands for creating and dropping your database. Ooh, I don't think that SQLx have seeds. I didn't even look for it. I just assumed that they had seeds, or at least even documentation about it. Let's see if it's there's like discussion on it. No comments from 2021. Nice. That's what we like to see. Most people do have separate seeder scripts because you don't necessarily want to run them at a very specific time. And sometimes you only want to run them on like dev as opposed to production, whereas migrations, you do want to run them on both and all things. So, okay, how about in issues? Okay, maybe it's not open. This got added into there. Ooh, okay. So this was back in 2020. Okay, so this is when they were deciding to use add instead of create. Yeah, so Laravel, if you've ever used Laravel, their migration system is really good. They have so many different sort of like subtle commands. One of them is reset, and then they have a refresh. They have two of them. Also, CORM has that too, which is nice. Basically, it's just like reset the database and start over from start. And one of them goes like does it all down and then does it all back up again. And then one of them is wipe everything and start over, essentially. On the topic of seeding, this might be something to look into as well. Now, there's 7 matches, so if we, then the next, okay, so the next time it's talked about is a little bit later. Wait, so is that it for? Oh, so that's it. That's the last time somebody mentioned seeds in here. So it sort of like was mentioned, hey, I think we should be able to do seeding. And then there was some questions about what seeding really is. And then it never got done or worked on. So that kind of sucks. So there is no seeding system for SQLx, which kind of sucks. Time to fork it, I guess. And like they haven't even talked about it recently, or at least they haven't on the official like sort of GitHub repos, which is kind of surprising. Let's see. Is there? Was that a Windows little thing? I heard a little noise, and I couldn't tell whether or not that was from Windows or from one of my other devices that I have around here. Okay, let's go take a look at your documentation. Do you have anything named seed? Oh, you don't. Of course you don't. Okay. Uh, all right. So, in SQL, in C or M, the suggestion is that you put the stuff into the migrations, which I don't like. But you don't really have a choice. So we have to go there. Again, here, we don't really have a choice. It's just part of migration. So we're gonna have to seed data inside of here. So what is seeding? When you first spin up a database, we often want some data already in it, be it for testing purposes or having data for production. It's nice to put this data into code so when we have add new developers spin up a database for testing, we have a consistent starting place. SQLx doesn't have a separate seeding sort of like doesn't have separate seeding functionality. From migrations. So we'll need to put our seeds in the migration in migration files. And then I'm curious. Let's try something. Let's do a SQLx migrate Okay. Okay. I think I know what I would like to do for this, which is going to be different than probably some more normal things. We're going to create a new directory called seeds, and then we're going to uh, SQLx migrate add. I'm going to go to source. It's now behind me. Source, and that goes to seeds. And then the name of it is going to be seed. Do I want to just like seed everything, or do I want to do something like seed games? I probably want to do something like seed games. Okay, so it creates that. All right, so we assume that games is going to be here already, so we're going to do an insert into games, not the ID. You kind of feel that if you call it seed games, you got to use farming games. Let's switch it from Epic to Switch. Game ID is 3, 2. That is a good point. I am using that. I own Stardew Valley on like PC over Steam. I also own it on Switch. I think I may also own it on like someplace else too, but I don't remember anymore. But I do love that game. So yes, good point. We're adding that in. Nexus Null Dev. Hello, how are you doing today? Okay. Insert into games. We have just the ID and the name, right? So we just have name, values, and then we're going to put in, I guess, just all of the things that we're doing here. So this would be, now I could set the ID specifically, and there's sort of like there are two like schools of thought here for this. One, we can control the ID, and that way when we get to game platform, we just know what it is. And then another one is that we don't control the ID, and we either assume that it's going to be what we want it to be, or we do select statements and actually go find the ID and then put that in there. Because that way, then you could run the you don't have to like truly drop the database to then recreate or regenerate the numbering system. So do all of you have preferences for that? I go back and forth on hard coding the IDs in and the select statements. Nexus, you're doing good. You're looking for some Rust streams. Well, we're here. Although today is like a combination of Rust and then also SQL, because there's a lot of SQL in SQLx. In fact, there seems to be most only SQL in SQLx. And so we're doing mostly seeding, which is apparently SQLx is a database library for basically connecting to your Postgres, MySQL, or SQLite database from within Rust. So it's a crate, basically. Do you do statements or ORM? It is statements. Let me show you what it looks like. Let's open up a new tab for this. This would be what, SQLx CRUD? Yeah, let's open up CRUD. I think it's in 4. It's uploading. Haven't uploaded yet. SQLx CRUD. Where is it in here? It is here it is. So basically we have our connecting to the database with a pool. I'm creating a model, and then here's like what a full insert then looks like. So it's just basically you just run SQLx. There's a query. There's like several different macros that you can run that does static checking of the queries with the database at compile time, which is really nice, and it checks the types too. You then just do a normal SQL statement. You parameterize the values or the values coming in, and then it just works. How much does SQLx differ from something like Rust-cli? I don't know Rust-cli, so I don't know if I can answer that. Does it support prepared statements? I don't think it does. So I looked through before because like prepared statements make things super fast. You could do all sorts. I don't know if it's all sorts of things. You can do everything in a prepared statement. So for everybody else who doesn't know what a prepared statement is, you can do things like really, really, really fast. You can also check something them. Basically you say like, okay, partway through, let's like save it. They also do make it secure, even more secure. Let's see. If I open, let's go back to just SQLx. Do you have, so there's prepare the SQL query to inspect, but I don't think this is a prepared statement. This is just like preparing in code, I believe. And I'm not sure it's easy to find. Like they use prepared way too often. So I don't see that. This library will be a target for SQL injection attacks. I believe that if you parameterize them, it should not allow that. But we can, you know what? We can take a little side adventure, and we should probably double check that anyways. So let's try it. Let's do a cargo temp. I don't need to pull it off of anything like that, so we'll just do cargo temp. And let's see, what do we need? We need yeah, no, I mean it seems like a for anybody really. So like if they didn't have a way to protect for that, I probably would just immediately cancel the course on it because there's no way. Like my big thing is like I do courses on Rust stuff for like more production type things as opposed to like, hey, let's just like here's some interesting things. And if I would never run anything production that you would run into that. Pretty sure it's secured against that. We could also take their documentation should also say that. I guess we could take a look at that first. Nope, that's print. So their fact doesn't have anything for injection. Issues. Okay, so this is a proposal which is that still open? I can't tell. I'm surprised that nobody put into the title like best practices to avoid injection. The macro uses bind behind the scenes. Oh, that's what you're using with the $1 syntax. Yeah. Also, this is apparently was the terminology they used before $1, $2. Okay. So are they using prepared statements beforehand? Okay, so they're using binding. So we can prove it. We can prove it. So we can do cargo add Tokyo, cargo add SQLx, start Docker up. All right, we'll do everything right here because it's easier and it's gonna be fine. So let's see. Let's do. Oh, I need everything will be fine here. So we'll do a pool. Oh, I need. Are you gonna help? There you go. Sure, we'll say max connections. Sure, 5. Why not? Then we will connect. Sure, let's just hard code. Okay, so we're gonna do that. We will await. We'll unwrap. Okay, so we get our pool. Can you say that you love Rust? You've been learning language for the past week and everything fits in so nicely. Absolutely. We can love things. Okay, so let pull. Okay, so we get a pull, and then I want to run a query. So let's do our what do I have in my database? Okay, so I have games in here like this. Doesn't look very good. Okay, so we have a games table and with a name, and then if we look at table games, let's insert into games name values. We'll do Starfield, and then we'll do one for Stardew Valley. Okay, so we have two things in there. So I want to do let our games equals, we'll do a query. I guess I want to do a, oh no, we'll do a query. Why can't you find that? Oh, because it's going to be SQLx, like that. Query. I want, okay, the query is going to be, let's do, what's the best way for me to like try to force a SQL injection attack for this? Oh, Dottie, hello. How are you doing today? You come from Go and you finally feel home. I've never used Go, but I have some friends that use it. You used an ORM. You didn't use Go for long. There's a lot of things that you dislike. Do a Randy query. Yeah, so I guess I want to, because I only have this much data, I want to make sure that I can get what's let's see. So if I want to get one, so if I do something like select star from games where the idea is equal to, and then if I want to do like the equivalent of a SQL injection attack here, it would then be like it'd be a subquery like this, or would it be just another like select star from, oh, I could just do select hello, something like that. Way too complex. Just error the statement with a, with a quote. That should produce an error. Okay. Nope, wrong keep that. Okay, so let's do an insert into, let's just do the games. So we'll do select star from games where ID is equal to $1. And then we pass in what that $1 is going to be. And so we want this to be, so just like a quote, like a single quote. Oh, could be that too. Oh yeah, that could work out too. We'll do semicolon. All right. So let's see if we get all of them out. Are you going to tell me what you are? Oh, right. Database URL must be set. So it's actually trying to figure out what this is going to be and like run this behind the scenes to validate that this query is correct at compile time. So we need to, before this, cache, cargo temp, let's, I want to put in database URL. Okay, so that goes in there like that. Write that again. Error return from database, column ID does not exist. Game ID. It's game ID. That's why. Mismatch types. Expected an I32, found a stir. So the entire point of something like this is that it actually checks the types for you. So you're getting this validation with SQLx at compile time to know whether or not it's going to work. So this has to be a number because it knows that game idea is a number. Now, what I could say is let's start from that where name is equal to that. Okay, so now you like this, and I bet it's just not gonna find anything. So then we do find, no, wait, isn't it find all? Reference the pool, await, unwrap. What did I miss with this? I have SQL query, find all. Am I missing the trait? I do. Name is a string. Name is a varchar. So that's why I switched it to name. And then it should compile there. Find all. What did I do wrong? Do I need to pull in something? I feel like I need to pull in. What is it? It's like executor or something. Usually I thought it brought it in for me, but it's not being happy right now. Okay, let's go find SQLx. Do I need the prelude? Maybe I need everything from prelude. I need something in prelude. I think I need executor from prelude. I didn't like that. Okay, let's just try pulling in everything in prelude. Oh, it didn't like that. Yeah, so I brought in everything. What am I missing? So I have query. How do I use query? Yeah, I know it's one of them. I just keep on not doing it. I don't know. I go back and forth on like whether or not I actually just want to bring in prelude all the time because sometimes I do feel that it pollutes the autocomplete with just stuff, which I don't always want. Oh, it's fetch, not find. It's fetch. That's what it is. Okay, I don't need the prelude at all. Okay, so I run you, fetch all, hand to the pool, unwrap. Are you gonna tell me what type you are? Ooh, you're unknown. Query is usually supposed to find this out for me. Okay, so if I put in something like blah, okay, why are you upset? Let name equals Let's actually make it real correct for one. We'll do Starfield. I think I did lowercase. Let's make it a string. I want to fetch all and get that. I was getting the records before. Why am I not getting the records now? What did I do wrong with this? Personally, it depends on how much I use that dependency writing the game. Start import your game engine prelude using yeah, that's true. That is very true. Kukma, you prefer to use the explicit import. I shouldn't need a returning for select. That'd be for an insert. So anyways, that do you have a let's go to query. Let's find the query macro. Okay, so this is okay, select queries, select one, blah blah blah. So yeah, we should be able to do something like this. Fetch one, and then we should be able to see what the account is. Maybe you don't tell me what you are until later. Let's debug games. You claim that you're okay. So let's cargo run this. I think it should be a vec record. Or a vec of something. But yeah, it's a vec record. And so, okay, here we go. We found Starfield like this. I don't know why, like previously I was getting like helpful stuff from blah blah blah, my words, Rust Analyzer, but it's not working here. Yay Mukund, hello. How are you doing today? And Kureon, hello. Okay, so now let's change this to be question mark. No, semicolon. An evil semicolon. Query thing is going to be fine because it looks to be a string. But where I'm attempting to inject this in here, and this should cause a problem. But it also shouldn't be a problem because this should be parameterized in here, and it should be doing behind the scenes the equivalent of a prepared statement. Which might, I wonder if that's the reason why we can't do a prepared statement on our own in SQLx. Like we can't like explicitly do a prepared statement, but we will see. So let's run this. We just get nothing. Let's see. It said that you cannot bind select columns instead of, what do you mean? Like get the specific things? Like you mean select like, where's my cursor? There you are. Select like name. I can do that. Yeah, so if I do that, so it didn't crash. It ran just fine. Up arrow. Why are you doing that? What did I do? Okay. Thing means bind on column names. Yes, supposed to. Dota, hello. How are you doing today? Yeah, supposed to just select a single column in a slow case. Got to add properties to an index somewhere. Oh, it's a limitation of SQL. Okay, so this is working just fine. We didn't cause an error. Now, the way to cause this to become an error is if I didn't properly parameterize these, and instead I just said like question semicolon here. Now, if I do that, hey, syntax error. Okay, so let's stop. Let's quote this. Okay, let's see if this likes it. Oh no, you got a date canceled. I'm sorry about that, Dota. Well, hopefully you'll find somebody else who will be better and not cancel on you. So I know you think record is just the debug output for an anonymous type. Yeah, it's so the record is an anonymous type for it. So if I was not lazy, I could use query as and then convert it into a type of my choosing, which is for a select is the proper way to do it. But we're being lazy here. Okay, so we're not parameterizing the semicolon now. So now, if I run this, still get nothing. I was kind of expecting that to crash, but the other problem is that I can't. Okay, let's try this. Let's replace this with a format. Okay, so we're gonna have select name from games where name is equal to, and then we'll put in game name here. How about this? Expected a string literal. Oh, expected a string literal. I can't do that. It won't let me. It's protecting me. Okay. Wait. Nope. I want to keep that in. What can I do? What can I do? As so dot. This is a. Okay, this is the format right here. Can I leak it? Oh, now you're just unhappy. Hold on. Let's reset this a little bit. Okay. Let our query is going to be, so we're going to format. We're going to do a select star from games where game ID is equal to game name. That'll be fine. Okay. So that gives me a string. Now, if I attempt to put this in here, it's going to yell at me because it's not a string literal, right? What? How does it know that it's a literal? Can I make it like just a static lifetime and then it knows? It's like, so if I put in the query here, it's going to say, hey, expected a string literal. Okay. So can I do query dot, so I can leak that. I can as stir this. Maybe that will work. Expected string literal. Okay. That query literal haha equals, okay, so let's try something slightly more advanced. Let's leak this. Leak what was as pointer? Was it get? Oh, how did we do this? I did this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I even created a YouTube video on it, and I completely forgot how I did it since then because I have never tried it since then. I could use the function. Yeah, I was just trying to get I was just trying to trick the query, the macro. Um I think it's get. So then slice. So then get everything, I think. That's get everything. And then I want an unwrap. And then I can make that a static stir. Yep, okay. So that's what I do for that. And then you're going to be a query literal haha. Nope, can't do that. Okay, fine. Fine. So it looks like I can't cause a SQL injection attack, even like not. I have to do like some really weird stuff if I wanted to try to somehow trick it. Yeah, it's an identifier. I don't know how to make it a literal without being a literal. Like I don't know if that's even possible in Rust. So I can't use the macro for this. You don't. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So again, the entire point of this library is that you use the macros because they protect you, because they run all these checks at compile time. If we don't use the macros, then it doesn't do checks at compile time anymore, and so it can't really check them for us, and it just sort of runs it at runtime. And so at this point in time, we can run just the query. We don't need that anymore. What are you upset about? Expected a stir, found a stirring, so you do an as stir. And then we fetch all. Okay, so then this should cause problems. What are you? PG row does not implement debug. Oh, interesting. Because it's a PG row now. For game in games, can I debug game dot get the column information? Column. Ooh, I don't. Oh, it's because it's I would probably want to use something like query as. We don't expect that this to work, so I'll just leave it like that. We should get a crash, I'm hoping. Let's find out. There we go. We found a crash now. So let's see what happened. Thread main panicked at called result unwrap on an error value database, PG database, severity error code 42601, syntax error at or near semicolon. Hint hint. Okay, so basically, yeah. So we could try more. So instead of this, let's also like do query as so we can actually get the result here. So we're gonna do a struct game. We're gonna have a game. So we have a game ID, which is a I32, and we're gonna have a name, which is a string. We're going to derive debug. We're going to switch to query as, and then type async. Type inside of async block must be known. Okay, so it's been a while since I forgot. Where do I put the type? Oh, do I put it here? is going to be a vec of game. The following, okay, so that's not it. Oh, the real fun stuff is no SQL injections, because for some reason people expect it less. Oh, we can just trust our users are fine. They'll never do anything bad to us. All right, so fetch all, query as, I know, I sort of wish that this showed like had how to run it examples, because like this isn't really great documentation here, and unfortunately the actual documentation isn't that great either, because if I go to functions query, this is it. This is what you get. Make a SQL query. Great, thank you. You don't have much here. How do I set the query as? Query as, when do I set the type? Make a SQL query that is mapped to a concrete type using from row. Oh, I have to derive SQLx from row on this. Maybe? I think so. It's so, the macros are just so much easier with it. Okay, so I want to SQLx from row. There we go. Okay, now it's happy with this. All right, I missed a bunch, but let's run this and then I'll go through chat. And I saw Nexus, you asked a question too. All right, so now we can debug games, and we can see whether or not. So I think the idea is that if I want to get a single game name, I can actually make force it to get all of them instead of one of them with the right type of SQL injection. But okay, so if I run you again, that's going to be the same crash. Now you had suggested another injection that we can do. Yeah, so we could do game ID equals input, and input could be test or like 1 equals 1. Yeah, okay, so let's do this. Where game ID equals, and then that's going to be like 1 equals 1. Is it 1 equals 1 or 1 equals 1? I think it's 1 equals 1, right? And then that should... That errors. Syntax error at that, at equal sign. So it doesn't like that. I'm trying to get the ID equals. So it's normally we would say like a specific ID. I could do, can I do like star or something? Or something like select ID from select game ID from games. And so like that would run a subquery in here to just get them all instead of one. I think that would work. More than one row returned by a subquery used by an expression. Detail, none hint. Oh, okay. So, oh, test or 1 equals 1. It gets all rows. Okay, so let's try that. And tell that I'm not used to actually trying to do SQL injection tests. So what is it? What would be test or 1 equals 1? So or 1 equals 1. Something like that. It doesn't syntax error at or near or. I need the test. Oh, I don't think I've ever used test. Column test does not exist. Okay. So how about games? Operator does not exist. Integer equals games. Can I do test? Yes. Change game ID to name. Yeah, we can select by name too. So we can say like but let's try one at a time, right? So we'll do can I do you want me to like quote the test too? It's like we do test like that. Invalid intent. Yeah, so like that's mind the quotes. It doesn't like that because we're trying to do this on the game ID, which is a number. So that's the problem there. So the next one would be change it to game name. Oh, 0 or. Okay, let's do that. So 0 or 1 equals 1. There we go. We got the SQL injection attack. Okay. Oh, thank you, everybody. You can tell I am not used to SQL injecting. Developers won't change their query to make your injections easier. That's very true. Like I won't. I don't think you can go in like, hey, do you think you can like change based upon searching for the first and last name instead of like the ID in the database? All right, I missed a bunch of chat. So before we go into like actually protecting against this, let's go everything. So let's see. I had seen Dodie. We said hi. Vivex, you were talking about NoSQL injections. Oh, right, because with SQL, it's very clear on how injections can happen. You are passing around strings. NoSQL stuff like JSON objects. Surely users can't inject JSON objects into your calls, right? Then Nexus null dev. Are lifetimes really that hard? Yes and no. Lifetimes, like simple lifetimes are like I guess lifetimes are pretty straightforward once you get around the idea that you're not controlling how long something lives, but you're just gently reminding the compiler, no, it really does live this long and you can't tell, and it's okay. The problem where I run into oftentimes is spaghetti lifetimes, where okay, like you pull out a little bit of you pull out like the little spaghetti stroke of like, oh wait, we're doing the lifetime. Let me put that in there. But the problem is it's tied into a knot with like 100 other things. And so suddenly you need lifetimes everywhere in your code simply because you just wanted to put it in one location. So oftentimes what I have found, and also what people smarter than me has written on the internet, is if you find yourself needing lifetimes, first try to ask yourself, is there a better way that I could write this that doesn't require lifetimes? And let's try that one first. And even if that means cloning, let's do that first and then see whether or not the pain of the lifetimes is worth it. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's absolutely worth it. Sometimes it's not. Okay, then we went through all the injection stuff that we can do. Okay, I can call you Nexus. I will try to remember that. Uh-oh, Nexus, your message got. Oh. Interesting. Yeah, so unfortunately I have links. I have links disabled, and so sorry about that. It timed you out for 1 second or deleted. Oh no, it doesn't time out anymore. It just deletes the message now. That's nice. So sorry about that. But yeah, Nexus had said they got nexusnull.dev and nexusnull.com. Yeah, lifetime spiral out of control fast, though I think way too many people reach for an RC or a clone when it isn't needed. You had to struct with 3 RC ref cells. Now it's 2 references and a cell. Yeah. Cream Pain, hello. How are you doing today? Lifetimes are not that hard to understand. You'll figure it out, but as I explained, lifetime can introduce changes in the entire code base. Yeah. Yeah, so it's lifetimes are one of those things where like as you just program with it, you'll just start to, you'll just start making sense and you'll just start working with it. And it's just practice. And like get yourself into situations where like, oh, this kind of sucks. Let me see like how bad it is. And if you want to try it, like if you're first starting out, I would just say don't be afraid to just clone everywhere, because as a beginner in the language, that's okay. You're still learning like basic stuff. Later on, you can start saying, okay, I need to be more careful with memory that I'm using, and I don't want to clone everywhere. I need to like make sure I keep my memory overhead low. And at that point in time, it's like, okay, well now what can I do? What options do I have? And that's when it's time usually to start like using lifetimes for real. Yeah, when it comes to designing your code base, it's just another thing to keep in mind. And there's design patterns to help with that. But again, if you're learning the language, don't worry about it yet. It's language learning time, not like big, like not optimization time. Okay. So far, they've been pretty simple. And generally speaking, each lifetime on its own is pretty simple. It gets where it gets hard is when you start having to spread them throughout the code base, because you didn't plan, as Cream Pain mentioned, for lifetimes, and now you need lifetimes everywhere. At which point, if you get that, that's an indication that you should probably do a rewrite of the code base to not have to do lifetimes everywhere, and somehow manage to make it so you can just, pass around it basically like stops too many lifetimes from spreading around, if that makes sense. Okay, I hope that answered your question. And if not, let me know. All right, so let's fix this. So obviously, if I switch to a query as bang and we use a macro here, it won't let that, because you have to do this as a static, and then it's just like, nope, we're not allowed to do that because it's much more safe. Although maybe we can force this. let's let's not worry. We're gonna stay with query as just a function here. So if I switch and we change this to be a $1, then we're going to keep with like the string that we're putting in, but I'm now going to bind game name. I could bing it. I'm gonna bind it. So now binding game name into here. So I'm parameterizing this as opposed to just directly put it into the string. Let's see how that changes things. Immediate errors out. Operator does not exist. Integer equals text. No operator matches the given name and argument types. You might need to add explicit typecast, so it doesn't know what to do with this. We might need to add explicit typecast. Can we say that you are text? Nope, that doesn't work either. So it's not very happy with this. I don't think is there even a way from me to turn this into a into what is it called? The injection attack anymore? I think it's protected against now. Is there a way? Oh, maybe after I bind it, can I print out what it is? Ooh, I don't know how to like print out those. So let's see. You're unhappy now. Oh, did I remove? I didn't remove the bind. Hold on. What did I do? Query as doesn't implement standard debug. Why are you trying to do debug? I want to put you up there. Oh, I put debug around this. How did I end up doing that? Do the bind without the injection to see it actually works. Yeah, absolutely. So let's do, let's change, okay, so we have bind. Let's change you to be like, 1. Give me game 1. Oh no, no operator matches the given name and argument types. We're game ID, oh. Let's also not do that. There we go. Okay, so we get games with 1. So, and then this here, if I change that back to game name, it just fails. So it's not letting me do it. So it's was it Nexus? Who you're back later, who was asking if it was a prepared statement for safety purposes? It might have been you. That was a long time ago. Yeah, it was Nexus. Okay. So basically, we're protected against, so we don't have the ability to manually do prepared statements. But we are protected against SQL injection attacks if we use parameterized parameterized queries. And that's why it's really, really, really important that if we ever do any queries like this, we use .bind. Is Rust course more about SQLx or Rust plus SQLx? It's going to be Rust plus SQLx, and then I sort of got to here because I was doing a course on Axum, and then I switched to it was like, oh, okay, we need some kind of database controller with that. Let's go into SQLx. And it's like, oh, SQLx could be like a micro, like a mini course on its own. Let's like pivot to that because I can get that out sooner. So that's where I've gotten to. So it's Rust plus SQLx. And I know there's SQLx libraries for like many, many different languages. This is a SQLx Rust. Dottie, I think changing to name instead of ID might work. I think the bind is trying to bind an int to string, which it can't. We could try that. I could try, like, let's say we did this as name equals to this, and then game name. So we would have, let's start with a good one, right? So game name is going to be Starfield. So if I do that, and then we run you, we get Starfield. That works, and we only get one of them. And then if we change this to right, Starfield or 1 equals 1, we get nothing. This is probably even better. It attempted to successfully attempted the injection attack. It parameterized it into a string. So it didn't run the or 1 equals 1 command. It actually searched for the string Starfield space OR space 1 equals 1 as an entire string. I don't have a game named that. Yep, I left bind in there. Like at that point, bind is I know it's not too long, so therefore Rust format is putting bind on the same line. So it's a little bit hard to see now. But yeah, we're protected as long as we use bind. Do not miss bind if you're doing it. And it doesn't matter what library you're using. Whatever library you're using, never put the value inside of here. Make sure the value is added in somewhere else, wherever it is. The reason you were asking is because if it's Rust, it might be worth going into some basics of Rust. For example, procedural versus functional and how to handle results. You're new here, so you don't know what's in store, and perhaps it's out of scope. So my I have some lessons on how to handle results, how to do that kind of stuff. I also have some other lessons and like courses that I've done that are on YouTube that have gone through some of that, although not necessarily procedural versus functional. So I would say my target audience is somebody who has been like graduated from like a code school or like college with like maybe 1 year of experience, either on your own or in a job, and you want to like now level up, and you want to like maybe you don't like program Rust professionally, but you've like gone through like the first 4 or 6 chapters of the book, something like that. That's the idea. Just unwrap? What other way is there? I mean, clearly. Just unwrap. Unwrap everywhere. All I want is for people to not spontaneously do unwraps because they are used to exceptions. Yeah, so I throughout all my courses, I especially in Axum where it's not quite as easy to do question marks all over the place, and then sort of like then you have to do like a map error everywhere, especially in the route handlers. So what I usually do is have someone create an error, like an actual error. And I think I have a lesson. It's not here, it's here. Axum handling errors. So in this lesson here, describe why we want to handle errors, return a result with an error, create a custom error struct. So we actually, in here, so first I start with, here, let's use the error crate. And that will allow us to use, stop using unwrap or something like that. And we can just start using error result. I like error. Anyhow is also perfectly fine. Let's see, then we go through and okay, custom error struct. So now we're going to actually just create a custom API error struct, which by the way, we want to use this more than an enum in Axum because we need things like the status code and like user facing messages and other fun stuff that we have to set when we're setting the error. So it's like slightly different. And then I have us implement impl error for it. So where is that? It's down at the bottom, I think. Oh, I have us like we implement display, we implement into response for it, and then all sorts of fun stuff. Yep, and there it is. There's the impl error finally at the bottom. Well, so what I found is really nice in servers, like web servers, is that you want a public facing error message, and you usually want to set that error message wherever it happens, and you want that to be like sort of unique right at that point. And every time I try to use a global error enum, it ends up feeling like it's too generic of an error message. But then I want two error messages, really. I want one for private and then one for public. So the public one is the one that goes out, and then the private one gets logged to the terminal or the logger system or wherever you're using. In this case, tracing. And I use a builder pattern for this to sort of store all those things along with the error code. So it can be like, oh, this is going to be a 404. It's going to be a 400. It's going to be a 501. It's going to be something like that. That's sort of like the plan that I go with that. I do, yeah, like an enum probably would make a lot of sense for if you only need one message per error. Then that makes more sense because you can just store that one message in the string, and you don't need any other data too. Because at that point, like an enum with like more with weird data in it or custom like structs in there, it's just getting too much. And I feel that we don't have enough resources like this in the community of like, oh, our errors, like there's so many resources like errors have to be enums. It's like, no, it doesn't. It just has to implement the error trait. In your own experience, usually combine an error with a from impl that converts it into an HTTP status, and the debug data goes somewhere in between. Yeah, so here for this one, to make it nice and easy, what I've done is that I did a builder pattern a little bit. So it's like, okay, we do a new API error. We hand it the user-facing message at that point. And then I have like a set code on it, with the code being by default an internal server error, so 500. So that way I don't have to set that everywhere, every time. I then have an optional log in case we want to log it or don't want to. And then that implements display, but that will never be seen because for reasons, but into response will be. And so then this is what goes out. So yeah, that's solves the same problem but in a different way. And I think like that's fine, right? Like it's I'm still eagerly waiting for the Rust project to come up with like a better suggestions for error handling in Rust, because like they said they were going to work on that, and it's been years now, and we haven't heard much from them. And I can't imagine, like I have to imagine that there's something like there's even a better way to do this, but there's a Rust solve your own problems. It does feel like that sometimes. Thing is, application and library code is very different requirements for errors. Very much so. Very, very, very much so. Absolutely. And so I go back and forth. Like this is my current favorite way of doing errors. I am sure that like even months from now, I'm probably gonna have like a new favorite way. Like I'm constantly like discovering like, ooh, maybe I can do this and it'll be even better. Okay. That was a nice hour long exploration into SQL injection attacks, which luckily we're protected against. So we're good to go. Now we're gonna go back into seeds. So I'm a little bit upset that there's no official seeding system from SQLx. That they're just migrations. So my plan is to do the migrations in a separate folder named seeds. So that way they're separated out. And so you like when you run migrations, it doesn't run the seeds. And then you can run the seeds separately. They're still migrations. I don't know if that's gonna work. We're gonna have to find out. So let's experiment with this. So we want to insert into games. Let's add in we have Starfield. Let's see. I think it's like this, right? Baldur's Gate 3. Stardew Valley. And so that inserts into there. And let's now try to run this. All right, so I'm in seeds here, so I need to come back out of here. We're gonna do a SQLx migrate run and then a source. Okay, so run source seeds like that. Migration was previously applied but is missing in the resolved migrations. Did I run it? No, I didn't run it. Create game, create platform, create game platform. Uh-oh. This is not going to work, is it? Path to the folder containing migrations. Okay. Source dot slash leads. Okay, so now it's 2023. Oh, this is behind me. Let's try running this again. All seeds. 2023 100. Oh, 421. Okay, so it's different name here. With the seed games, and then inside of here, description. Okay, so create games, create platform, create that. So it seeds this. Oh, I was really hoping that I could have two directories and then run migrations like from one directory and run migrations from another directory and then have that work. That would have been so nice. But unfortunately it's not. We can try. We can try seeding into the seeds folder. So the migrations are here. So SQLx migrate run source same exact thing. So this timestamp is for the game's migration. Is there anything else in here? Ooh, maybe ignore missing. Ignore applied migrations that are missing in resolved migrations. Okay, I might be able to do that. There we go. Okay. We applied seed game. So if we come to here and we now take a look at our table, it has now, okay, so we've run, it didn't like do anything weird with the rest of them. It ran all these. So, and so now if I do table games, we now have, well, I kind of added some with the SQL injection attack sort of playground, but we have Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, and Stardew Valley in here now. And we did not set the game ID so that the seeds just work. One of the reasons I like that. You're really confused by that description of the command. Which one? The ignore missing. Ignored applied migrations that are missing in the resolved migrations. I think what this is trying to say is that it compares so it looks at the migrations in the file that we have here. And then it looks in the database. So then it looks in here and looks for these. And it says, hey, you've told me to run all the migrations here, and I've literally not found these. So error out. Yeah, Vivix is right. So I'm saying, hey, it's okay. Go ahead and apply migrations that are not there. Which means now I need to do ignore missing in the normal one too, after we start doing seeds, because otherwise it's going to say, hey, the seeds aren't there. Which is going to be fun. Let's try a rollback. So if I come back to here and I do a SQLx migrate revert. Now it's saying that new one is not there. So we have to ignore missing. It reverted create game platform, revert create platform, revert create games, and there's no migrations to revert anymore. Not table games. But that seed still exists. So, there's no down for this. Can I even revert? I can't revert that. I don't like this. So in other words, this feels like a bad idea. It does feel like a bad idea. Oh, I don't like it. Why do system I prefer a separate migration and seed system. Yeah, maybe just store them beside each other because seeds are going to depend on the migrations having been done. I don't think we have a choice. I think we have to do that. The the thing is that oftentimes you want different seeds on production than you want on development. Could I feature flag this? Could I, or not feature flag, could I use features? Because this is just scripting. It's not in a Rust project. So here's the scenario. Yeah, you definitely want prod and dev different always. Don't share config. So it's not necessarily config in this case. It's more of like the seeds themselves. So oftentimes, like let's say development, we want like, okay, I want 100 games and I want 100 other things. I don't actually care if they're real games or not. I just need something. So I'm just gonna create like some random stuff and it's gonna be fine. And we're gonna be uh we're just going to like put them in there to make sure that everything's working testing wise. But in production, I want to seed maybe with like, the top 10 popular uh platforms. And like maybe 10,000 of the popular games. And I want those real. And I don't want nearly as many of those on local because I want my test to run fast. I don't need 10,000 to like do all the tests. I just need small amount. So feels like a complex enough C to be done in proper code. That might be the thing is like maybe that's what we do is like just write a Rust script. That's not a thing. Write a Rust program to seed the database. If you have a slow function, you want fast tests, you inject the function into the method or class. Correct, but oftentimes if you're doing end-to-end tests, you also want to make sure that it's like hitting the database and the entire flow is working like fully. What I was actually thinking of, could I have features? Could I have Rust features, so conditional compilation based on the seeds, based on if I'm on production or dev, or even dev or testing, right? Like, um, but again, I think this goes to an actual project we need to do, as opposed to just here in scripting land, because like this is um, nothing about this folder structure. There's no Rust code whatsoever. There's no logic. I can't like say, hey, I want you, like I can't do like an if statement in the SQL because it won't be aware of what environment I'm in. Uh, Cream Pain, we got a single config the program was looking for regardless of dev or prod. Long story short, someone ran unit tests that cleared prod DB. They were connected to prod at the time. And to add insult to injury, it filled prod with mock data. Oh, beautiful. Oh, I hate it when that happens. And that I've not done that with a database, but I have been connected to the wrong servers and run commands before. And I've rebooted so when I was a sysadmin, the biggest oopsie that I did was I rebooted our major connector like root server that allowed everybody to connect to everything else. So it was like inside, like deep under the firewall. And so I was connected to there to connect to everything else. And I thought I was all the way in on the system that I was updating. And I didn't notice, or I didn't remember that I had already run the command to reboot that. So it kicked me out to another one. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here. Let's reboot that. Reboot it. And then so you do that. And then literally, like, you get that like feeling that like, that like tingly down your body, like the second that you realize it. And then within seconds after that, you get your coworkers going like, hey, does anybody know why I can't get anywhere? Yeah, that was fun. So in a proper sort of like DevOps setup, you want to set it up so that it cannot possibly hit like production and like do stuff like that. Like that's what you want to do. Now, like sometimes things happen. There's things that you could do. You can basically say something like okay, so like I've seen one higher security environment. No developer systems can touch prod ever. Like they can't directly get to prod. You have to go through multiple systems to get to prod to do it. So if you're developing on something, even if you put all of the like things to connect to prod, won't work. Like multiple firewalls in a way to prevent that from happening. So even in like the testing, you want to make sure that like those systems are like um, unable to be connected to, and then you want them backed up. Also, fun question that always gets asked: how often do you all test your backups? I remember I came into a job and I asked them, "Hey, when was the last time you test your backup?" And they're like, "Well, I just ran the command to have it run backups every day, so it's just happening." I was like, "But how do you know it's backed up? Like, how do you really know it's working?" And they're like, "I don't know. I just assume it's working because it's AWS." It's like, okay, we should probably test that. We should probably figure out the process for restoring. So I did that. Might be able to make use of SQLx test macros for seeding a hack but my work. I think what we're gonna do is write a program for seeding. So we'll probably do something like cargo temp dash name like seed like I don't know, CDB. And then this is where we do all of the this is where we do the seeds. Like we actually just create a program that does that. I think that that's the best way to do it. And it can be a very, very simple program that just connects to a database using the .env, and then just I would always recommend it just does an add only. It never deletes anything. It just adds it. That way, if you accidentally run it against production somehow, all you have is just a bunch of extra crap data that you've added to your database, never that you've removed anything. And you can have something else that wipes the database if you really need to. Migrations are dangerous enough, but there's a lot of positives for them to require, like, that's why you need them. Like, they're good. The better Owen, hello. You once worked in a high-sec environment where everything had to be air-gapped. Remember the user onboarding involved filling out a Word doc with the details and user account to be created, which then had to get emailed, printed out, and someone had to manually re-enter it all into the main environment, which then got reviewed, and someone else would go in and add them manually. Okay, mine was not that high security. I worked at I only ever had to get medium level security, but we did have a fishbowl, which I don't know if that term is going to be universal security wise. Basically, that was air gapped. Like everything inside the fishbowl was air gapped. Although we did have an allowance because things inside of there needed internet access for reasons. So our firewall, we had like multiple levels of firewalls. So the firewall in there for the one system that was allowed out only, but everything, every port, everything was blocked coming in. So if we ever needed updates, we had to like write them to a CD because you can't use read-write devices for this. We had to use write only, write it to a CD, validate that multiple times, bring it into the system, put it onto the server, load that up into the satellite repository, and then now everything can get updates. So that was fun. You have a cry room. I don't even want to know. But that is a great name for a room. The thing with testing backups is that you usually need to test it against another instance because the backup is broken. You break prod testing it out. Well, you don't have a backup. Yeah. Like at the very least, the best way to the cry room, you can talk about secret stuff. I get it. We were not allowed to have top secret in the facility that I worked with. We had what is it called? We had sensitive but unclassified. That's the most secure stuff that we were allowed to have. If there was a top secret stuff in there, that would have been like a big no-no, and like something somewhere else brought it in and we're not supposed to bring it in. So I was allowed to see that, but obviously you need to be careful with SBU. So SBU, sensitive but unclassified, is also like people now call it like PII data, so personal data, like that kind of stuff. We want to make sure you protect your users and all that stuff. So yeah, we try to be like, make it so you can talk openly about like, hey, we have a potential leak of, SBU. Well, okay, we need to do something about it. If you fire the person before you do anything about it, then it will never be fixed. Yeah, so what you can do is you could have a different environment. And this is where like DevOps really shines. If you could recreate your environment in like a new VPS, and then restore to that, or new VPC, a new cloud, and then restore to that environment, then that's a great way of testing your backups. That can also that can test more than backups. That can test how quickly you can recover from a massive outage. Like if AWS East Coast goes offline, can you recover to West Coast or Europe or Asia or like any of the other sort of like areas quickly? Like how long would it take? Or would you just be out of business? And of course, for most of these things, money solves the problems. We got a lot of security stuff going on, mostly implied by our clients. Most can't even use copy paste. It's not even a joke. Oh, yeah, because then it goes into memory and other stuff. Yeah. Luckily, I have never worked in that environment, and I hope that I never do. The Better Owen, thank you so much for the subscription. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so you can copy paste if you're in a company network. That doesn't, okay, whatever. I stopped caring about security stuff a long time ago because some of it just doesn't make any sense. But whatever. Thank you for reminding me why I don't work in those kind of environments anymore. Well, I don't know if that was worthy of a subscription, but thank you so much for the subscription. All right, let me write in what the plan is. So, okay, so here's the seeds. So, let's have like in here. Is it gonna be 3? Okay, so no, it's gonna be right here. SQLx doesn't have a separate seeding functionality for migrations, so we'll need to put our seeds somewhere else. I recommend that we create a separate program to seed our database so that we can choose when to run the seeds and they aren't tied to migrations. Okay. So then down here, so that's 4. Okay, then we have plan for, so this is gonna be 4. All right, so this is gonna be creating the seed program. And that is where I'm gonna leave off because I'm running out of time. Scott, hello. Oh, you saw my comment about on Discord about doing a stream of Togglebit, but it was not like, it was more of like a, hey, Togglebit, if you ever want to, we could do a stream on Axum because he was basically collecting ideas. So if you don't follow Togglebit, highly suggested. He's an awesome streamer, and he does a lot of really cool projects. And he just finished like a huge CLI TUI project. And he's looking for new things to work on. And one of the suggestions was like, oh, you can like teach like Axum, like how Axum works. And like I've been doing a lot of Axum stuff, and so he was like, oh, I don't want to step on my toes. I'm like, oh, well, if you want, I'll jump on, and then you won't be stepping on my toes, and it'll still, benefit you. So I put that in there. Yeah, he has he doesn't have he hasn't streamed this week. He's been working on Anathema sort of offline recently, and so he's been trying to figure out what the next thing for streaming project is going to be, which sounds like he's getting that figured out and will be back on to streaming pretty soon. So let's see. I think that's all I've got. And it's approaching 5 o'clock. I actually want to end a little bit early today. I want to grab some dinner, and then I have a meetup. I'm heading to a leadership meetup out in town today, which will be interesting. There'll be there's some people that I haven't seen in a long time, so I'm looking forward to go and hanging out with the leadership community. You really should be streaming development more, but 90% of the work on my project lately has been me staring at the code until we come up with how to structure data. So fun fact, I do streaming because if I don't stream this, I just don't get any work done. So it's one of those weird things. Like if I didn't stream and I worked on this, I would be more focused, but it would also be more of me like staring at it going like, do I have the energy to work on this? Oh, hey, I could do something over there. Let me go clean my room. And just like doing something completely unrelated and getting like distracted by like other things. So like here, we actually get stuff done, even though it takes longer because I'm distracted by working with all of you. Plus, I kind of figured that like doing this with an audience with all of you is kind of like hype marketing too. You all get to sort of like see what this is, and like I think it makes some of you excited about it. I think so. I don't really have a way to measure that, so I can't say for certain. But yeah, that's my take on streaming. It's for me, and I guess you too. I'm hearing a lot of banging upstairs, and it sounds like it might be thunder. But I didn't think it was supposed to be thunder and lightning today. So that's interesting. All right. So I'm gonna be taking off fairly soon. Let's go ahead and see. Is there nope, dismiss. Let's see. Um who Kuviman is streaming, but he's playing Ludum Dare games. Kuviman wrote a game in Rust for Ludum Dare. But now Ludum Dare is over, and so now they're playing games. So we um could raid Kuviman. Um, let's see. Is there anybody else that I don't? There's nobody else that I follow that's streaming that's doing programming right now. What are you doing? Kiki is doing resume review. If that's interesting to you all. There is Cricket, who I can't see what's doing because advertisement. So hold on. Anybody you suggest that we should raid? Oh, and I got that second advertisement after the first advertisement. Okay. This is Godot and C Sharp game dev stuff. That sounds fun. I haven't. The only Godot stuff that I saw was Mr. Halsey when he was streaming. So it's making a avatar import system. And AWS is streaming about something quantient. Never heard of it. But I like half the things I haven't heard on AWS. Any suggestions? Or otherwise we could just end. That could work too. All right. Well, since we don't know, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and end. Let's bring up my schedule here. I'm streaming every morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time for about an hour and a half, and then on some afternoons, from 2:30 until around 5 or so. Tomorrow will be a morning only stream. I have some things to take care of in town, so no afternoon stream. But then I'll be back tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 on Friday. And we'll be continuing with this, and we'll write out the we'll finish out the article, and then we'll record a video on it. So with that, thank you everybody for hanging out. I think it was good discussions, good verifications that we are protected against SQL injection attacks, and we got a little bit of progress in too. So with that, have a great rest of your Wednesdays, and I will see you all next time. Bye.